Hey y'all, how's it going? In our last video, we were dealing with the setup of getting our project all running, and now we are going to work on assembly. So we're going to be getting our triangle drawn. So if you are a beginner or intermediate programmer, just kind of try to follow along and learn as much as possible. If you are more advanced, you kind of know about OpenGL, you can skip to the next video. These first two videos are just going to be for people who want a refresher or just kind of want to start from the basics, because I'm starting this project from scratch. So even if you have no idea what you're doing, you can kind of just go line for line and get an idea. So yeah, just learn as much as possible. But without further ado, let's start the assembly. So let me minimize this screen. Okay, cool. All right, so let's go into our project and let's delete this. So we have this simple return zero function, and you kind of already saw what we were going to do, but we were just going to do a simple glfw init, and this will just initialize glfw, and you can kind of ignore the autocorrect, but after glfw init, we will do glfw terminate. All right. So this is really simple. It just initializes glfw and then it terminates it. So in this, we have to add some logic. So let's do that. So we have to kind of provide information to glfw just so that it knows kind of what it's doing. So the 3.3, the thing that we did for or maybe it's 3.4, I don't remember, but we're gonna add that number to the context of glfw. So a lot of words, but just kind of do what I'm doing. glfw window hint, and yeah, just enter that in, and then we're going to do the minor version as well. So glfw context version major 3, and then minor 3. So we're just kind of telling glfw what version it's on. And then we're also going to need another window hint. glfw, oops, excuse me. Sorry. Window hint, and yeah, this is the right one. This is just telling it the profile is core. So when we set core for the I think it was the GLAD actually, but we're on core, OpenGL core. There's two modes that are like popular on OpenGL, and we're gonna be using the core one. The other one is kind of depreciated. All right, so we got that. So now we're actually gonna create a window. So let's do that. Yeah, glfw. Let's get this out of the way. Sorry. And it's going to be a window pointer window, and it's equal to glfw. Oh, that's annoying. glfw create window, and it's going to be 800 by 800. It's going to be let's just say title. And then we're just going to have null for the next two. Didn't mean autocorrect. Nope. Null, comma, null. Sorry, I don't know why everything's popping up, but yeah. And add the semicolon. So we have we can zoom this out so that we can see the whole thing. glfw window, and then we create the window with these are the width and height. This is the name of it, and then we just pass two null values to it, just because that's what we do. All right, so create the window, and then we need to make the context current. And before we do that, we can kind of have a check to make sure the window is working. And if it doesn't work, we send this error message. So let's do that. Yeah, and we'll do the glfw terminate function right here, and then we'll return -1. So pretty simple. Okay. Next, we need to make the context current. This is just kind of a arbitrary thing that we have to add for OpenGL. We're just kind of saying the window we created, we're going to be using it. So kind of simple, but that's what we have to do. All right. And then we also have to destroy the window. So at the end of the function, we can, let's do it after terminate. glfw destroy window. Okay, so this will just kind of trash collection. It'll free up space on your computer. Just destroy it after you're done using it. So with that, let's see with this, that we have. Let's just run it and see what happens. So okay, so the window popped up and then it stopped. So no issues. So we basically just initialized the window, and as soon as it popped up, we terminated it and we destroyed it. So let's get the window to stick around. Let's do that. So let's make a while loop. A while loop is just kind of while things are happening, and so the exclamation is a not. So while glfw window should close. I'm going to take window. While glf window should close, and it's the not, the exclamation means not. So while it should not close, we're going to add some stuff. So in the while loop, we'll add glfw pull events. So that's pretty self-explanatory. It just pulls all the events that are happening, and while it's going, it'll continue to do that. And the only reason this flag will pop up is if you press the X, if that makes sense. So let's try this again here. Save all. Let's just try running it again. Okay, so here's the window, and it's staying up. So we're telling the function to keep it running, but as soon as we click this X button, it's going to trigger that flag that it should close, and then that'll be the end of our function. So that's how our code works. So let's continue. Alrighty, so now that we got a window running, let's add some stuff. So first we need to add glad to our project. So let's we have glad included, so let's add it to the main. And let's do it before we make our window. Let's just put it at the very top, because we want to load this one first. So we're gonna do that. Glad load GL. Cool. Okay, so let's add some stuff. We can just add this to the main function for now. Viewport. So we'll throw in a viewport in there, and we'll make the size 800 by 800. Let's do GL clear color. And it doesn't really matter what colors we're doing. This just kind of sets the color of this function, and then the GL clear is the one that actually clears it. So we just have these functions, and they're only going to run once in the main function. We're just kind of adding them, but eventually we'll put them in the while loop. That way they clear every function, or every frame, sorry. And then swap buffers. We're also going to need to glfw swap buffers. And so this is this is just kind of like basic computer graphics. So there are two screens when we're doing computer graphics. The computer shows you one screen, and while you're looking at that screen, it's loading up the next screen, and the basically swaps between the two screens. And so once they complete it, they swap it over, and then they show you the completed screen. And then the other screen is just loading the next frame. So that's just kind of how the frames work. That's kind of how computers work, and that's why we use GLFW swap buffers. So yeah. All right, next we're gonna skip shaders. We're gonna add some. Let's add some vertices. So let's do that right now, and we can just put this on the very top of main. GL float. So that's a special type that we're gonna use. Vertices. All right, yeah, and the actual values don't matter right now, so we're just gonna do vertices, and then we're gonna start adding in the VBO, the VAO, and the EBO. So in the graphics pipeline, there are like 6 or 7 steps we go to from starting with numbers and then ending with images. So part of that is these buffer objects, and also we send them to shaders. We send the all the stuff to the shader, and this is how we apply textures and all that. It's just a process that OpenGL uses to create shapes. So yeah, we will get started with the VBO. We're gonna put this kind of below all this stuff, below the window and all that. We'll put it right here. So let's get started. All right, we'll start with the VBO. GLUint VBO. All right, so that's all we need right now. We're just going to make VBO, and then we are going to generate the buffers, GL gen buffers for the VBO, and then we are going to bind. So every buffer, if it's VBO, VAO, EBO, although the VAO is just kind of a manager for the VBO and the EBO. And sorry, this is kind of confusing, but I want you to kind of think of the VBO as the vertices buffer and the EBO as the indices buffer. And the VAO kind of manages all that. So yeah, let's bind it. Every buffer we need to bind it and then unbind it. That's how we kind of use buffers in this certain way. So yeah, we're just gonna have to do that. So let's bind the VBO, and then we're gonna have to set the actual data. So this is just what we're pushing into the VBO, and the VBO is just a raw file, so it's just a collection of numbers and letters, but this is the specific data that we're gonna pass into it. Okay. So next we are going to create a VAO, and it's very important when you're dealing with the VAO to bind it first. So we can, just as a general rule, always do the VAO stuff first. That's just kind of how I see it. So GL gen, we're going to take another. It's not really in the buffer category. We're going to use GL gen vertex arrays. That's how we're going to generate this VAO. All right. And then we'll do GL bind vertex array. We'll bind the VAO before we bind the VBO. That's really important. I don't think the gen buffers is that important, but just make sure you bind the VAO before you bind the VBO. So, and then we'll add the pointer. So what the pointer is like I said, the VBO is just a collection of raw files. And so when we do the give me one sec. When we set the VAO up, we have to actually tell it how it's going to read all this information. So it's just a collection of numbers and letters, but the VAO is actually going to tell us what it all means, what all this data means, and it's going to interpret it as this is what the pointer does. So yeah, we are going to enable it, and this is just, we put 0 in here. If we had another pointer, we would just set it as 1. So we have this just 0 for now, because we only have 1. If we had 2, we'd do 0, 1. If that makes sense. Okay. So now that that's all done, we're gonna bind the VBO and the VAO to 0, just kind of to keep it from getting in our hair. So let's do that. Bind buffer, and we want to do the vertex array first. So let's actually do that. We'll bind the vertex array to 0, and then we will bind the buffer to 0. And we use this GL array buffer for the VBO, and we'll use a different one for the EBO once we're done with that. So we also have to delete the object. So at the end of the main function, we have to go over here and delete it. So, and remember to delete the VAO first before you delete the VBO. So I'm going to delete the vertex array, and we are also going to delete the buffers. Cool. Alrighty. So now let's draw some objects. So in our while loop, we're going here, and since we're going to be clearing, like I said, we're going to be using these, at least 3 actually, because these will be useful. Cut them out. Okay. So in here, we're going to clear the screen, and then we're going to draw to it. So we're not going to draw and then clear. We're going to be clearing it and then draw. So let's do that right now. First, we clear it all with this, and then we're going to bind the vertex attribute object, vertex array object, whatever the hell it's called. And then we're going to draw. We'll take some parameters. So this is just telling us we're doing a triangle, and it has 3 sides, so 3 indices. Yeah, just type this in, and then now we need to add some indices. So very similar to vertices, but we're going to do GL uint instead this time. So indices. Cool. And then we can do 0, 2, 3, because we're gonna be drawing. Well, we might not even need. We might only need 3, but we'll keep that for now. And we'll check it out. So now we're gonna add the EBO, exactly the same as this, but just remember to bind the EBO after. Do everything with the EBO after you fix up the VAO. So GL gen buffers, we'll do GL gen buffers, and we'll generate the EBO. GL bind buffer, let's bind the EBO. Cool, EBO is binded. And then for the GL buffer data, cool, we got the indices in there, perfect. Alrighty. And then we need to bind it to 0, obviously, so let's do that right now. GL bind buffer. And then we also need to delete the EBO. So let's delete it after the VAO, of course. Cool. Alrighty. So we need to do some shaders. So let's do that right now. We're going to add some shaders. So right click this resource files right here, and we're going to add a filter. It's going to be shaders. Okay. And then inside our shaders, we're going to add a new item. It's going to be a, let's go to utility text file right here. Click that, and then just call it default.vert. Add it. All right, and then we need to do that again. Default.frag. Okay, add it. Cool. All right, so let's start with the vertex shader. This is default.vert. I'm just going to enter some information. I'm going to turn a light on real quick. That way I can actually see what I'm doing. Okay. So let's get started. All right, so we just set the version at the top, and then we'll do layout. So we're basically telling the vertex where it's going to find our coordinates. So in our main function, we have GL float vertices, and we pass in 3, 3, 3, 3, so 9. But we're going to tell it that each set of 3 is a vec3 called a position. So the 3 values that are being pushed, well, I guess there's 9, but for every set of 3, those are going to be your x, y, and z coordinates. So let's just say you have a, you pass in -1, 1, 1. What that's going to do is it's going to go, so -1, which is left, 1, which is up, and then 1, which is front. So it'll go like left, up, front. Left, up, front. That's where the kind of vertex point is. And then for the next one, it'll take the next 3 coordinates and it'll put it there. And then for the next one, we'll take the next 3. And then that's how it's going to build the triangle, basically. So that's just kind of what I'm trying to explain. But let's do void main. And yeah, the position. Yeah, this looks good. Okay, cool. All right. So now we're going to do the fragment shader, and I'll try to explain that as well. We're just going to do the version 330 core. Cool. And the frag color, the fragment shader, it's more important when we're doing color and texture. So right now it's not too useful, but we'll just do word main, and then add the frag color. Cool. And do we need to take anything? No. All right. Cool. So that's all set up. Now, for the shaders, we're going to have to do a shader class and a shader header file. So let's do that right now. Let's add a header file. We'll call it shaderClass.h. Okay, add. All right, so we're going to do a little check for every header file that we make. We're going to do this little check, if and def and shaderClass.h. Define shaderClass.h, and then we'll do end if. So this just makes sure, this checks just to make sure we're not opening this file 2 times. So yeah, not too crazy, but yeah, it's helpful. Give me 1 sec. All right, so we're just gonna include some stuff, and this portion is not too important. This is the shader class header, and so I'm going to be including a whole bunch of stuff that is kind of not really understood, but it's not that important. So I'll be explaining what we're going to do with the functions in the header, and then we'll paste in the actual shaderClass.cpp because it's not very relevant to the tutorial that we're doing right now. So yeah, just follow along. Just all right. So class shader. Nope. Shader. Perfect. All right. What we're gonna do is, and before we do that, looks like we have to do std string. So what this shader class is going to do is going to take our contents in the fragment shader and the vertex shader, and it's going to turn them into a string, so a usable source of data, and then it's going to take that, contents from the string, and it's going to create the shader, and we'll do one. It's really just one thing in this header class that's important. So GL int ID. Christ, what is that? Okay. Sorry, it just gives me a bunch of garbage. And then we'll do the shader. So this function right here that we are defining in the header is just going to be, I can't see anything. Please stop doing that. Yeah, it's not very helpful, is it? How is that helpful? Okay, so const sharp. I really wish it wouldn't do that, but we can kind of zoom out. Vertex. Sorry, I just can't see my code. Very annoying. Const char vertex file. Sorry about that. Yeah, it does this autocorrect thing, but 20% of the time it's incorrect, and it makes it very frustrating to add stuff. So we're just going to take the vertex file and fragment file, and then also we'll do void activate void delete. Okay, cool, and that's the shader class. So and it looks like it deleted my thing. So thanks for that. Why does it keep deleting my thing? Okay, sorry about that. Okay, yeah, sorry about all the difficulties. The autocorrect, it's worth it 80% of the time, but 20% of the time it just screws up your code, which is cool, I guess. Add. So what we're going to do is add a C++ file called shaderClass.c++. And then in this class, we're going to go into my paste bin. Oh, sorry if my is my lighting not good? Yeah, because of the my glaring. Okay. Yeah, I look like I'm shining down from the heavens. Sorry about that. It should be fine. Okay, we're going to go into our paste bin. Shader class. Copy this. And we'll just put it into the shader class. So it's not too interesting code. We're just going to copy paste it. The shader class is kind of irrelevant to the coding that we're doing. So we're just going to use this. Alrighty. So we have our stuff. Now what we need to do, give me one sec, sorry. Okay, so in our main function, we have now created the shader. So let's, where should we put this? Let's just put it above the window. See how it likes that. So shader, shader program. That's not right. Default.vert, default. All right, that looks good. So, oh, and we need to include shader. shaderClass.h. Okay, cool. So we've included that. So we can do shader program. And then what we need to do is in our draw function, we need to activate our shaders. All right, so, and then we also need to delete our shaders. So dot delete. Okay, so we have our shaders implemented in drawing, and so we're just gonna run it and we're gonna see what happens, and hopefully it doesn't crash. Oh, looks like we have gotten an error, so give me one sec. All right, so we just had some errors in our code, so I'm going to switch, fix it up a little bit and kind of show you what went wrong and why. So we had one spelling error right here. Instead of compat, it's supposed to be core. That was just from the autocorrect, so oops. And then this glad load function, it needs to be called after we make the window. If that makes sense. So we can actually move these two just to keep it easy to read. Glad under the context and the shader. Just put it under there, yeah. Just organize everything. We didn't have it organized correctly, so that's what we need to do. So let's run it and see what we got. Cool. All right. So we got our triangle. All right. So now all we need to do is organize everything. So that's the next step. We're just gonna make our project kind of more accessible with more files, more headers, and more C++ files. So let's start organizing the stuff that we have. So give me one sec while I find my place. All right, so the rest of this video is just going to be us making a whole bunch of headers, a whole bunch of C++ files. So without further ado, let's do that. Header. So the first header we're going to do is for the VBO. So VBO.h. And as you know with the headers, we're going to do our little check to make sure it's not being loaded twice. So underscore h define. And then and if. All right, so let's start. So we'll include our GL library. And then what we would do is make a class, VBO. And we'll do public GL event ID. And then VBO. And we will GL float, and we'll do a pointer, vertices, and GL. All right. So this is just the constructor for the VBO. Not too crazy. And then we'll have a bind. We'll have a unbind. And then we'll have a delete. So these are just the functions we can use for the VBO, whether we need to bind it, unbind it, or delete it. Okay, so let's do the C++ file. Oops, sorry. All right, so now that we have our VBO file, let's fill it with all the information we need. So we'll include VBO.h, and let's get started with the code. So we're going to use the same values that we used in the constructor. And this is just the same stuff that we did in. We're just typing it in again, but this will make it easier for so just make it easier for us to use it when we need to. autocorrect is turned off, so it might be a little slower. But I'll try to speed through it as quick as I can. Okay, cool. All right, yep, this is the same stuff that we've done. Okay. And then, yeah, let's put a semicolon there. GL buffer. Okay. And then we'll do an unbind. Just setting it equal to 0. Cool. And then we'll do a delete function. I'll delete buffers. Okay, cool. So it's a little bit longer to do because I turned off the autocorrect, but hopefully you can understand a little bit better what this is actually doing. Seems, it's pretty simple. It just kind of it's constructor, yeah, makes it easier to use in the main function. How about that? So let me make sure I'm still recording. All right. So then we're going to go into the header files. We're going to add the EBO. Excuse me. Okay. And the EBO will be exactly the same as the VBO. So we can just take but instead of VBO, we're going to do EBO. EBO. And since it's EBO, instead of the vertices, we'll be doing GLUint indices. So exactly the same, but a little different actually. But I'm just going to try to get it done as fast as possible. All right, and then we go to VBO and copy this to our EBO. We're going to include EBO, EBO, EBO. Make sure to do GLUint indices, one ID, and then for GL array buffer, it's actually supposed to be GL element array buffer. So we can change that. Size indices. Cool. And then for this, give me one sec. Let's see, what do we do here in the main? Give me one sec. Check my code. All right, just for this, just make sure to change the VBO to EBO as well. EBO. And then go into EBO.h. Yeah, I forgot to change these EBO. And that should fix everything, I hope. Make sure, I think we have to pass a pointer into there. Okay, everything's working now. Cool. All right. So now that we have the EBO working, let's get the BAO working. All right, so add header file VAO.h, add. All right. So for the VAO, it's going to be similar to the EBO and the VBO. So we can take this, go into VAO, and we'll try to make sure everything is changed, unlike last time. VAO, VAO, and this is going to take no parameters, so we just have VAO like that. Give me one sec. I just need to find my VAO thing. I'm going to add link VBO. And we're going to do VBO reference VBO. GL uint layout. All right, that looks good. And so since we're doing VBO, we need to include VBO.h into our file. Okay. Make sure to add a semicolon. And then give me one sec. We're gonna need that void on here. That's important. So now we have void link VBO for our VAO. Let me just make sure this is all changed correctly. Okay, it looks good. Let's make the VAO C++ file. Add. Okay. So we're gonna include VAO.h. All right. So let's create our functions. Just need that. Oh, we're gonna make a. Yeah. Okay. So let's generate our vertex arrays, or just one, since just one VAO. And that'll be good for VAO. Do our link VBO function. And we'll do a reference to VBO. And we'll do the layout that we're just added. Okay. Does this take anything? So we're gonna VBO.bind. GL vertex attrib pointer. We'll take layout. 3 GL float. GL false. 0. And we'll do this weird thing. I think it just basically means 0. All right. And then GL enable vertex array. Vertex attrib array. Take layout. And then we'll just unbind the VBO. Cool. All right. Now let's, I think we just need to do the bind, unbind. let's do it. Let me make sure this is correct. So we have in VAO.h. Yep, looks good. So let's put that void on there. That might help. Find the vertex array ID. I think that's all we need for the find. Cool, that's all we need. All right, so we'll do two more. It's gonna be unbind. It's just gonna set it equal to 0, I believe. And then we'll do delete. And we'll do GL delete vertex arrays. And that's it. And it's stuff we've already done before, but we're just making it more organized. So thank you for sticking with me. But we have the VAO, the VBO, and the EBO all set up. Cool. So now we have to include all the headers into our main file. So let's do that. So shader class, let's include VAO.h. Let's include VBO.h. Let's include EBO.h. Nice. Okay. So we already have the shader set up. Let's delete all of this. Let's add some stuff. So let's start with the VAO. And let's bind the VAO. And do VBO. Vertices, indices. Oops. We're not doing indices, we're doing size of vertices because we're still on just the VBO. Okay. And then EBO. Then we'll do indices for size of indices. Looks good to me. VAO1. VAO1. Okay. And then we can unbind them. Please stop doing that. VO1 dot unbind and EBO1 dot unbind. And it seems to be giving me a little bit of trouble with this, so we can go ahead and actually make sure our VAO has the unbind. Yeah, right there. Yeah, not sure why it's giving me trouble, but let's keep going. In while loop, we already changed that. Sorry, give me 1 sec. Oh yeah, we have a spelling error, spelling semicolon. Nice. Nice job, Joe. Okay, sorry about that wait. Okie dokie. So now what we're gonna need to do is add textures. So first we need to change this link VBO thing around. So give me a sec. Oh, I think we need to change this bind vertex thing. Let's do instead of that, let's do a VAO1.bind. Let's just bind it. And then instead of these delete functions, let's do VAO1.delete. VBO1.delete. EBO1.delete. Cool. All right, let's save. So we need to create a texture class and get textures running. So in order to do that, we need to make some changes to the well, I'm sure we could run it right now and see. Let's try it. So we still have the triangle, no errors, that's good. But we need to add some textures to our triangle. So let's do that. We're gonna change this link VBO thing around a little bit. Let's do that right now. So in VAO, instead of link VBO, we're gonna do link attrib. And this is gonna take in some more things. So instead of layout, say GLUint num components, GL num type, GL size I pointer, stride, offset. Okie dokie. And then we need to take the same thing and do the same thing with, so we'll take this and we'll do it right in our VAO link attrib. Cool. All right. And in this GL vertex attrib pointer, we're actually going to take, instead of layout, here, give me 1 sec. So we're going to do layout GLUint num components, or I guess just num components. We don't really need the GLUint. Type GL false stride offset. Okay, so that's how it's going to read link attrib, and we're going to be able to show it how to take textures and stuff. So let's go into our project files. So give me 1 sec. So let's go into our include folder. So let's close this out. We'll go back to it. So let's go into, sorry, I gotta find it again. Source, repos, library, include. Okay, so we're gonna add new folder called stb. So in stb, we're gonna go in there. We're gonna create stb underscore image dot text. Okay, so we have this thing, and we want to make sure if you go over to view, I think in show file name extensions is on, so just make sure you can see the extensions. So we're gonna open this up, and we are going to take our, and I'll link this in the description for you. You don't have to find it. Or take this file, copy. It's a huge file for stbi, and we're just going to paste it into stb image dot text. File save. Close out of it, and then I want you to rename it stb image dot h. And click yes. Cool. So we have stb image dot h. Let's go back into our project. So we'll create, give me one sec. Go in the source files, click add, new item, C++, stb.c++. Add. So let's type some stuff in. So we need define stb image implementation. Cool. And then we'll include the stb dot / stb underscore image dot h. I believe that's how we do it. All right, you can save that. And then we're going to go over to stb.c++, and we're going to compile this. And just do it once, and then we can kind of close out of it. All right, so then go into your main, since we compiled successfully. We can change this to link attrib, since it's giving us the error. Link attrib. And we'll deal with this later, actually. Let's just get the thing. So we're going to include include stb and make sure it's underscore, not the dot. Okay, so now we've included it. And we can start creating the texture class. So, and we'll deal with this link attrib once we get the texture class going. I want to get all these headers out of the way and get everything here so we can kind of see what it looks like. So we're going to make a texture header file. And we'll do the if def. And actually, let me make sure I have them for all of these. Yes. I think I do. If and def texture underscore h. Define texture h. And then we'll do end if. Okay, so for texture class h, let's do that right now. We're going to include glad include stb we'll include the shader class. All right. Cool. Let's make a class texture. And we'll do a public. We'll do a GL uint ID. And we also need GL enum type. All right. So let's see. Sorry, my notes are a little bit confusing. Text unit shader reference shader const char uniform GL uint unit. Okay. So we got that. Oh, we need texture as well. So let's just do that. Text type. All right. Put a semicolon on there. Just make sure I'm still recording. Yep, I am. All right, so we got texture and text unit. And all we need is bind, unbind, and delete. So void unbind, void delete. All right. Okay, this looks good. So we got our texture header file. Now let's get our texture C++ file going. Congrats on reaching the second half of the video. Well, not really, because when I went to record the Texture.c++ and Camera.cpp files, I was doing them line for line, word for word, and it was a brutal 50-minute session of boilerplate code. And I don't think it's very beginner friendly, so we're gonna cut that out, and we're just gonna have a simplified, more laid back version of the tutorial. So without further ado, let's get this started. Okay, so we have our texture.h file. So what we're gonna do is just add one thing: GL uint unit. Okay. Now we're gonna add in our source file, add new item, C++ file. It's gonna be texture.c++. Okay. So we're gonna get the we're gonna get the code from my paste bin, and so the link will be in the description. All right, just copy it, and we're just gonna paste it in. Cool. and it's not very important to the OpenGL tutorial that we're going to be doing. So a lot of this is just kind of set in stone, if you will. Okay, so we're going to save that. All right, so we have our texture set up, and now we have to set up the camera. So one thing we're going to need is GLM. So GLM is the math library for OpenGL, and it's really easy to set up. So we'll just go to glm.g/truck.net, this site right here, and this is where you get OpenGL, and you click this download right in the left. So I actually already downloaded it, but we can just go through it again. So I'll click it again, I'll download it again, GLM, and then what we're going to do is we're going to extract it right here. We're actually going to extract this. And it doesn't really matter where you extract it. And then find it in your downloads right here. And then you're going to go into this folder, and you're going to take this GLM, and you're going to cut it. And we're going to go into our include folder, which is in our Joe Voxel libraries include. And we're going to paste it right in here, and you see I already did it. All right, so we can just close that. And using GLM is as simple as just pasting it into your include, and then calling it in the main function with GLM include GLM, and that's all it takes to get GLM working. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started with the camera header, which I already have. Let's go ahead and delete that, and we'll just add it again. Delete. All right, so let's go into header files, and we'll add our Camera.h. Cool. Now this one will be pretty long, but at least we're not doing the C++ code. Just think of that. So, and I will try my best to explain what we're doing. But first, as always, so we do this with every header. You already know. Cool. And if. Perfect. All right. Cool. Let's get started with it. So we have a lot of includes, so let's start with the includes. So we can do the GLMs first. So GLM slash and yeah, we're just importing various sets of functions and whatnot into the code so that we can use them and make use of them. So cool. And one more for GLM. We'll include our glad for obvious reasons. GLFW. And this kind of makes sense since we're working with the camera, but yeah, still obvious. I mean, okay, and we have two interesting functions. We're going to be adding GLM, GTX, rotate, vector, include. Cool. And then we also need the shader class. All right, so a lot of stuff. So let's get started. So class camera, public, and we're going to take 3 GLM values. So this is we're going to be doing position, orientation, and up. So, oops, sorry. And this is GLM vec3 position. Cool. Okay. Orientation. And these are just values that the camera is going to use. And we are doing vec3 because 3D coordinates and up, last but not least. Oops, sorry. Is that correct? Looks good to me. Okay. So we'll do bool first click equals true. Width int height float speed equals 0.1f float sensitivity 100. Okay. And then we'll make a camera class, and it takes int width, int height, and a matrix coordinate. Or sorry, a vec3. But a 3D coordinate is what I meant to say. Okay, void matrix. And float v degree. Float near plane. Shader reference. Oops. Shader. Const sharp pointer uniform. This is a function, right? Oh, no. It's just a constructor. Okay. Well, it might be a function, but whatever. Pointer window. Okay. Cool. So this is our camera header. So we're just going to save that. Cool. And then we're going to make a Camera.c++ file, add new item. Camera.c++, add it. Cool. And then we'll just copy and paste from the description. Much easier than typing it by hand. Cool. All right, we'll save it. All right. So now we just need to do a little bit of some stuff. So first, we have to go into the main, and we need to include everything that we didn't include. Include Texture.h and include Camera.h. Now, I already had these GLM things in here, but you may want to add them in yourself if you don't have them. So glm.hpp, gtc matrix transform, and gtc type pointer. Cool. All right, so we have our vertices. Great. All right, so let me delete this real quick. We will talk about this. Maybe I can yeah, we will talk about that. Sorry. Just trying to clear up my code so that it makes more sense. And that it lines up with what you out there have. Okay, so let's start. So in the before the while loop, we need to see, maybe like right here, we need to add a camera class. So camera width. Oh, we don't have width. We're just doing 800. It's all good. And glm vec 3. 0.0, 0.0, 2.0. Okay, so we got a camera class going. And then in our while loop, we need to activate the camera. So we can do it right here. Camera.inputs window. Make sure you have semicolon. Oh, we can do the camera matrix too. So camera.matrix. Cool. All right, just bear with me. We are almost done. Cool. Okay. All right, so now we can go back to the attrib. Okay, so sorry I made this confusing, but this was already filled in, and we just need to go back here and deal with this. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna start this. So I'll kind of start in and kind of explain what it is. GL float 8 times size of float. And then we have this void pointer 0. Is that right? Okay, looks good. All right, so then we'll just do this 3 times. So what this is, it's a it's the VAO function. So we have, or we will have, give me one sec. Well, I guess we don't really need these texture floats, but we'll put them anyway because we're definitely going to do a texture. And yeah, we'll just do the color. So these are the VAO linking things. So we have the VBO with its raw data. We don't know what it is, and we're going to tell it. We're going to basically explain to the program what the VBO is using the VAO. So that's how we're going to do this. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2. And because 3 plus 3 plus 2 is 8, do 8 times size of float. Because this is the stride. Yeah, a little confusing to explain, but just go along with it. And then these, we have to do the offset. So it's going to be float 3 times size of float. That's right. Okay, so 1, 2, and 3. Take this. Do 6. Okay, so this looks good now. All right, so we changed the attrib. Now, new vertices and new indices. All right, yeah, we can do that. Let's do it. And we just need some 4 color values, which don't have to be that much. 0.83, 0.7, 0.44, and put some F's on there. And then texture coordinates, so 0.0f, comma 0.0f. All right, we will just copy paste that. All right, and that gives us, and we'll put a 5 right there. So this is the pyramid in the tutorial for Learn OpenGL, but we're just gonna do 3 sides of it because we're lazy. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but yeah, looks good. Okay, and then indices. Let's do 6 indices. Let's see how it goes. Or maybe 3 indices for 1, 2, 0. How many indices do we need? All right, let's just do the whole code because I don't know how much indices we're gonna need. So, sorry. 2, 3, 4, 3, 0, 4. All right, and then we'll just do 2 more. Boom. So what is this? 5, 0, 5, and 0, 8, 0. So 0, 8, 0. That color doesn't really matter. 2, 5, and 5. Okay. Yeah, looks good to me. I don't mind the color being different. All right, so we got updated vertices and indices, and we just need to update the vertex and the fragment shader. So let's do that real quick. Yeah, so we'll just add 2 more of these. All right, 1, 2. This is the location. So we talked about where we're gonna find the data that we need in the VBO. The VAO is gonna tell us, and this is where the locations are. We're passing it to the vertex shader. We're passing each thing to different locations. So this is vec3 a color, a text. Oops, sorry. This is a vec2. Okay. We're gonna do out vec3 color, out vec2 text chord. So we're gonna output these to the fragment shader, because the fragment shader deals with colors and all that stuff. And we're gonna take the camera matrix as well. Oh yeah, don't forget your semicolons. Those might be useful. Okay. And then we're gonna multiply the camera matrix by the vec4. And we are also going to do color equals a color. Text chord equals a text. Cool. All right. Let's go. Now let's just do the fragment shader. It's going to take in color. Cool. All right. And we're just going to change this to the updated texture text 0, comma, text quart. All right. Yeah, hopefully everything's okay. So now, I believe that's everything. Let's run it and find out. See if there's any errors. All right. Well, we got a screen, but we didn't see any triangles. So let me debug this. All right, so I've figured out some of the errors that we were having with our code. So the first main one was that we're drawing a pyramid now, but which is just a bunch of triangles, but the triangles have textures, so we can't use GL draw arrays anymore. We have to use a special function. So let's delete this. It's GL draw elements. So we're going to take GL triangles for the first one. And then we're going to take the number of indices. So we have 18. So that's what we'll put. And then GL unsigned int, comma, 0. Cool. So that's done. The second part is we don't actually have an image yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my project folder. Let me minimize this. So yeah, go through the whole thing again. Source, repos. Okay, so here where the filter is, we're just gonna, and all the files are, we're just gonna take our file. It's brick.png. We're just gonna drag it into here. Cool. So now it's in there. So we have a texture now, and we should be able to load it. So let's do file, save all, and let's see if we can run it and see it on the screen. Nope. I believe it's because we don't have a actual. So right here we did the camera class, but we didn't do the texture class. So we need to do texture class. Let's do that real quick. Give me 1 sec. Cool. Texture. Brick text, let's call it that. And then we'll need to specify the location, brick.png. Pretty easy. GL texture 2D. Let's keep going with it. Yeah, I don't know why that was giving me error, but whatever. Now we just need to go into the while loop. Yeah, the VAO. Let's also bind the texture. And then let's also delete it. So we have some stuff we have to delete. Delete. And is that it? All right, let's try it now. Sorry for the delays, but we're learning. Wow, look at that. So it looks great. The texture, oops, sorry, it's going really fast. The texture has loaded. So we got a triangle, but the depth testing is off because we don't have depth testing. That's all right. It's not a big deal. All right, cool. So that's the tutorial. So yeah. So I hope you enjoyed the part two of the tutorial series. So now we're all caught up with the Learn OpenGL guys. So part 3 will be starting with the that boilerplate, that template, and we'll just be going from there. So yeah, took a little bit, but we finally got there. Yeah. So I'll see y'all in the next video.